What's good out there, Liquid Trucking? Welcome into episode 68 of the Liquid Trucking Podcast. I'm your host, Marcus. Thanks for being here with us today. Hope you're all having a safe trip wherever you're headed and that the roads are clear and so are your minds, because this episode is going to be jam freaking packed with plenty of ideas for you to digest as you drive down the road. And we'll get to it in just a second. I do want to tell you all that as you are listening to this right now, it is March 19th is the day. March Madness is off. It's started. It's going. I'm so excited about it. I can't freaking wait. It's a very exciting little competition that we're having. And again, I think, let me pull up my information just to be sure. The selections have happened. Selection Sunday has happened, and we're into the tournament here. But I want to pull up and make sure of when it actually happens, what the actual days are. March 16th was Selection Sunday. We know that. I thought that the 19th was the beginning, but then I was thinking, no, don't they normally start it on Thursday and Friday and go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday? And they do. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday are going to be your round of 64 and your round of 32. So get your brackets in. If you are listening to this and it is Wednesday, March 19th, and you're going, I didn't get my bracket in yet, go shut the podcast off, take your 10-minute break, find someplace safe to park, and get your bracket into us right now, because there's money on the line. Don't forget that. Good money on the line, too. We're talking, we've got, so exactly. My date's finally refreshed. Today is the last day of the first four, those first four play-in games that they have, and those don't matter for your bracket, okay? Your bracket submission matters officially at the end of today. The first round happens March 20th and 21st, the second round, the 22nd and 23rd, like I said. So round of 64, round of 32. All this to say, and I'm a little bit off key today for some reason. I don't know what's going on in my head, but I should have had this stuff ready, so my apologies for having to do it live. But it's all good. We're still going to have a lot of fun. Good money on the line. 125 for first, 75 for second, and 50 for third, that's crazy. It's just Amazon gift cards. You just get handed that money, and you don't have to know anything about basketball, because trust me, I've been doing these brackets for decades. Nobody's good at them. The guy that walks around the office or walks around the yard talking sports all day and he's breaking down stats, his bracket is going to go up in flames day two. I see it happen every single year. That's what makes this thing so fun. So just to wrap this up here, this is the last day. Get your brackets in right now. You heard the reminder that I recorded for you earlier in the week. That was a courtesy. This one is I'm banging the drum and saying, if you want to be a part of this, you got to do it right now, or else you're going to miss out, because we can't really take late bracket submissions. The system won't allow us to do so. So get it in. Let's get going. Let's have some fun. And don't worry about talking a little smack. My bracket's going to be up there. I'm going to have it very clearly listed for you to see in the pool. And by the way, all of this stuff is located on the website. That was really, you see why I say I'm off key a little bit today? I always talk about the website right off the top of this podcast, and here I am totally forgetting to even mention that we have two really easy links for you up on the website right now as we speak. It says March Madness. You can't miss it. There's a really cool how-to video up there that I wanted to share, just because it gives you a few different ways that you could go about filling out your bracket. And of course, because AI is kind of working its way into everything, there's also some AI tools that you can use either to study the stats and the teams, or just to pick them for you. It really is cool that they have this stuff. Whether or not you use it, it's totally up to you. I don't care. I just want you to have a bracket in, because I want you to have a crack at the money. That's all that really matters here. So get over to liquidtrucking.com, click the podcast link at the top of the page. Once you're there on the podcast landing page where you find all the episodes, that's where you're going to find the March Madness link. There's a video there. The second link is going to be to our Liquid Trucking March Madness pool. So you'll fill out your bracket, you'll join that pool, and then you'll be competing with everybody from Liquid Trucking as well as myself. So get it done. That's really all I have to say now. I'm kind of a broken record at this point, but wanted to make sure that we gave everybody plenty of lead up here, and you guys were really thinking about this going in, because We want everybody in there, man. We want everybody to have a shot to play. Okay, so today's episode 68. Yeah, episode 68. It's called What Are You Listening To? Pretty simple, right? First and foremost, I want to say we've been loving all of the suggestions we've been getting from you drivers. We've used quite a few of them. A bunch of you guys are out there cashing in on your Drive for Gold points. So thank you. Keep those coming. Some of you have sent them you've replied to the system text that I've sent you. Some of you have just reached out to me individually. I'm good with it. Just get in touch with me. You can also email me. Also. It's times like these, days like these, that I wish that my Audio Ninja Mike, who's listening to this right now, was like right next to me. We live on completely opposite sides of the country. He's in Syracuse, New York. I'm in Eugene, Oregon. It's a long trip for him to get here to smack me upside the head, which is what I really need right now. And I'm in the studio all by myself. I could just, like, it's not on video, so you didn't see that. Yeah, I actually hit myself in the head there and it didn't do anything. I don't feel better. But if Mike was here to do it for me, I think he'd mean it, and I think that it would whip me into shape here. So let's take a deep breath. You can also email me your suggestions for the show, podcast@liquidtrucking.com. Glad to get that out of the way. This one wasn't actually a suggestion from a driver, however. I got an email from General Manager Josh Schmidt, and he said, it's been a while since we've talked about what the drivers listen to during the drive time. We have focused recently on what you do over your 34s, how you spend them, where you take them, what you do. We got a lot of gamers out there. We got some travelers that love to get out. We got some hikers. We know all that. And Josh's question was kind of like, hey, what's the entertainment that's popular that drivers really use to get this time behind them, okay? And this is, I think, an important topic in trucking because A, you don't want to get bored, you don't want to fall asleep, and B, there's a lot of options out there. But C, to that point, is that you need something that is engaging enough that you can also be alert enough to do your job. We talk about it all the time. It's a demanding job. You guys have to have way more awareness than a standard four-wheeler out there. So, getting into crazy, like, I want to know if anybody's out there listening to, like, chemistry books or something like that. That's the stuff I'm really intrigued at. I'm interested about, like, what podcasts you're listening to, because I'm always looking for a good podcast. Audio books. I know there's some guys that have some tricks about the way that they do things. Like, there's a lot of great content on YouTube, but YouTube's one of those apps that doesn't like to play in the background. If you shut it down or you minimize it so you can't see it and you can use your phone for your navigation or whatever you need to use it for, maybe it's just a lock screen in your seat, YouTube ain't going to play anything for you. So I'm interested to know how you guys work around these issues and what you've found. And I wanted to mention one because we've got a guy, Drives for Liquid. You guys have heard him on the podcast a lot. His name is Mike Stanfield. I'm hoping, because we're recording this episode, so far in advance like we do, that Mike's feeling better now. I tried to get him on this episode, was talking to him a little bit earlier the week. Man, he is really sick. I saw a post from him on Facebook that he was headed to the doctors. He got some antibiotics. So I'm hoping that Mike Stanfield is on the mend, because he couldn't join us today to tell us about something that is really cool. He uses an app called the Libby app, Libby, and a library card. Seems pretty simple, right? He went to his local library, picked up a library card, and now with the app, this is exactly what he tells me about it. I said, when he said he couldn't come on because he was not feeling well, I said, will you send me some details just about what you know about the app? And this is what he sent. The Libby app is an app anyone can get. You just use your local library card, and you can listen to books for free. It's like an audiobook library, and it's free. You don't have to pay for it like Audible and pay for each book or run out of minutes like I do every damn month listening to audiobooks on Spotify. He says that sometimes you do have to wait for the books to be returned. That's the one catch, is that they actually do check these things out like normal library books. He said, but other than that, it's awesome. You have 20 days to listen to the audiobook and return it, but you can request more time if you need it. That's awesome. You're not going to charge me a nickel like they used to at my local library. I hated that. You go in there to get the new, Shel Silverstein or whatever you want when you're a kid, and they're like, sorry, you owe us 30 cents because you kept this book 6 days after. I don't have 30 cents. I'm 9. I shouldn't even be here by myself, but I broke out, and here I am. So that's awesome, okay, because late fees on anything really just make me want to slam my head in a door. But obviously on a library book, it's like, hey, I'm doing something here. I'm trying to better myself. This is a book. I want to know what's in it. Please give me a few extra days and don't charge me. I'm 9, once again. But nobody's 9 listening to this. This is a cool thing that adults can do. You have 20 days to listen to the book and return it. As I said, you can request more time if you need to. Mike says, I go through books pretty quick, though. I listen to a lot of Stephen King, Dean Koontz, and other authors. So great stuff, from Mike. Thank you so much, Mike Stanfield, for giving us that information. But that's kind of what I'm looking for today. I had never heard of the Libby app before Mike sent me a text and said, hey, this is what I do. And for those of you that like audiobooks, I mean, I don't know about you guys, and we're going to find out here because I'm bringing 4 drivers on in just a couple of minutes to talk about this. And we've got some very interesting takes on what to listen to in this group. So if I don't know about it, that's the stuff I want to hear. Like, that's because there's a lot of drivers listening to this. And yeah, a lot of the stuff we talk about here is going to be old news. You're going to have heard about it. Audiobooks, great. Podcasts, great. I know about those. But do you know about how they do it? Do you know about which individual ones they're using, what apps they're utilizing, that type of thing? So great stuff from Mike Stanfield there. And again, we hope he's back on the mend and back out putting miles behind him. When I was driving as a traveling salesperson in the legal cannabis industry in Oregon, I was putting on, we've talked about it before on the show, I've put on as many as, I think, 6,600 miles a month, or maybe 6,800 miles a month was my biggest month. And I didn't have to do that often. That was a pretty rare trip, and that was an incredibly rare month. It was the month of April, which is when the date 420 falls. And if you guys don't know about that, I understand, because obviously this is a federally illegal substance we're talking about, and drivers get tested for it. But for me, driving my own vehicle 6,800 miles in a month was a lot. And I needed something beyond the normal podcast because I'd been doing it for so long. Oh, by the way, the reason April was the month, I should tell you, it was 420. That's the date, April 20th. It's a big stoner holiday, and they buy a lot of product that day. Anyway, moving on. I had been doing the job long enough that I was current on every podcast that I wanted to listen to. I had listened to thousands of episodes of multiple different podcasts by that time, like I know a lot of you drivers had. And so when I found a way to affordably listen to audiobooks in succession, that's when the whole world opened up for me, and I didn't care about spending time on the road anymore because I had this audiobook series. It's the Scott Harvath series by Brad Thor. I think I've talked about it or mentioned it before. It was like 13 books at the time that this was going on, and I had read a lot of them, but I hadn't read them in order. I didn't really know what the true story behind the story was. And so I had 13 books to listen to that month, and I don't think I got through all of them because I was only on the road for 6,800 miles. But the Libby app would have been fantastic, and I probably would have been finished with that series if I even knew what that thing was. So that's why we're here today. Long story short, 4 drivers coming on: Michael Donut Duncan, Drew Hearn, Tim Barron Spencer, and Dusty Erickson right around the corner to talk to us about how they keep themselves entertained and focused during that windshield time.
Welcome to the gold standard of podcasts for the gold standard of drivers. This is the Liquid Trucking Podcast with your host, Marcus Bridges.
All right, I got the drivers on the horn here, 4 of them: Drew Hearn, Michael Donut Duncan, Tim Barron Spencer, and Dusty Erickson, all on the line right now. Gentlemen, thank you all for joining me here today. I know that I just introduced you kind of in one big pool, so everybody say hi to everybody listening right at the same time. I've never done this before. 3, 2, 1, go.
Hi to everybody.
Howdy. Listen. That's the type of chaos I'm here for. I love it. All right, fellas, thank you so much for the time today. Each one of you guys responded to me or reached out to me about what you're listening to during the windshield time. It was a question posed to us by GM Josh Schmidt, and I'm excited to get to talking about it because a couple of you guys gave me some really unique and interesting responses. First things first, though, we got two guys on the show that have never been on the show before, and when we do that, I want to get to know them just a little bit before we get into talking about it. So first off, let's welcome Dusty Erickson. Dusty, thanks for being here, man. How long have you been working with Liquid?
Been with the company about 8 months now.
Okay, so still kind of new to it. How you liking it so far? How's things shaping up?
Well, compared to the other couple of trucking companies I worked for, this one, these guys seem to have things figured out, have their processes worked out and working good, and when problems do come up, they actually get handled. So it's been really, really nice.
Good. Well, I'm going to be honest with you. With new drivers, I know that that's going to be the answer. So far, I think we're batting 1,000 on this podcast of drivers coming from other companies and saying they like this one more. So if you'll forgive me there, I knew what the answer to that question was because you're here on the podcast. So appreciate you being here. Glad to have you and hope for things to continue going smoothly throughout your employment with Liquid Trucking. Tim Barron Spencer also here with us today. Tim, we've never had you on before, man. Thanks for the time. How long have you been with the company?
Since 2008.
Okay, so we've got both ends of the spectrum here. Tim's got a lot of time under his belt with the Liquid logo on his shirt. Obviously, I'm going to guess that you like the company as well, Tim.
They've done me well.
Good. Well, it's good to have you here. Drew, let's start with you here because I know what you're listening to. I think you came on the last time we talked about what you were listening to, but the reason I want to hear about it is because you gave a lot of really good suggestions. You're an audiobook and podcast guy, if I'm not mistaken, and a little bit of metal and some gangster rap in there, right?
Oh, yeah, definitely.
So what podcast has you hooked right now? Like it's appointment listening. You can't wait to get to it.
So right now I'm on 3 of them. I was actually listening to one of them when you called. It's Murder in America. Really good podcast about all different kinds of murderers and murder investigations throughout pretty much the history of America.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, they go really into detail about like the person that's committing these crimes, and they start like how they grew up as kids and what, you know, if there is a reason, what that reason is, why they became who they are, and go into detail about their crimes, and then go into detail on what happened to them afterwards, you know, if they were caught or if it was like a suicide after, or, you know, if they got away with it.
Mm-hmm.
So that one is really cool, especially since, you know, last time we talked, I told you how I was trying to get into the whole mind of, you know, the worst people in the world. So that one is like on top of the list.
Okay.
And also I'm listening to Wartime Stories. It's pretty much, this guy tells these stories from active or retired veterans.
Oh, I bet that's good.
Oh yeah, and it's pretty much it's not really so much about what they did during their time in service or anything. It's more on the aspect of like the mythological stuff that they have seen, like when they go overseas. Like they did an episode about the Netherlands and about how these military guys came into contact with like the Yeti and stuff like that. So
okay, little supernatural edge to it there.
The stories told around the campfires that they couldn't tell their superiors.
Okay, I like that, man. That little bit of supernatural element there. That sounds really cool. And you said there were 3.
Oh, yeah.
What's the third one?
So the one I just started listening to is called The Conspiracy Files, and I've only listened to half of one episode. And the guy who does Murder in America also does this podcast, and the first episode is about Jeffrey Epstein.
Ooh.
And it's all about conspiracy theories and what's true, what's not true, and go into grave detail about every little thing that they can. So I just started that one, so I guess I'll see how that one pans out.
You sound like you've got a good roster there, man. I've always found this funny that just the way that culture is in America these days, a lot of times when you ask somebody, hey, what do you listen to just, focus and kind of not zone out, but like something that you can listen to in the background, and they're like, murder. It's murder. I just am listening to murder a lot. I'm the same way. I can't get away from these true crime podcasts, and I don't know why. I feel like if there weren't so many people that were doing the same thing, I would feel like something is wrong with me. Because a lot of the stuff you hear on this, like, it turns my stomach. I don't want to make anybody out there think that I listen to the true crime because I like the gore and stuff. I'm not a horror movie guy. We've talked about it. I will throw punches in a haunted house. I get scared. That type of stuff turns my stomach a little bit, but I like the justice involved. I want to know how they hunted this guy down, where they found his fingerprints on a McDonald's straw. Like that, I think, is the edge of it for me. I know you, Drew, like you said, you like to really kind of get behind the curtain and knock around in these guys' minds sometimes. I imagine that first one that you talked about with how in-depth they go, you find out some pretty disconcerting things about some of these heinous killers.
Oh, yeah, definitely. And some of the places, too, like, you would think nothing, like that would ever come out of some of these places. But it's, it's pretty eye-opening on, how you never really know who lives next door.
Yeah, that, and if you turn it up loud enough when you're parked at a truck stop, people will be like, I'm not going to mess with that guy. It sounds like he's in there getting educated on how to handle problems in a really bad way.
Oh yeah, definitely. Don't, if I would have to commit a crime, I think I could cover some tracks, pretty quick. So. All
right, Mike, go ahead and just garble that whole thing, because I believe that's what they call incriminating evidence. No, we know you got a good head on your shoulders, Drew. You're not going to do anything crazy, but thank you for sharing with us all that stuff, because again, like this conversation, the four of you guys all kind of have different stuff going on, and I'm sure some of it overlaps, but I'm here for the ideas. I want to put ideas out there for maybe some drivers that are just, their content has dried up. They can't handle the playlist anymore. All the podcasts they've listened to, they're current on. They don't have any audiobooks that they want, so I'm looking for good ideas like that. Appreciate you walking us through them. I now am going to turn this conversation completely on its head, because we talk about what we're listening to, and everybody immediately goes music, podcast, maybe play some videos that you don't have to watch and you can just listen to them. Dusty Erickson, what did you tell me that you listen to while driving down the road?
I listen to absolutely nothing. The radio bothers me. I love listening to music when I'm in a very specific mood. Other times, I don't even know if the radio in my truck works.
That's amazing. So I have so many questions when I hear that, because I have one of those minds that I don't think good things would happen if I left it alone that long, to be honest with you. I think I could get to some really weird rabbit holes.
Nobody said that my mind doesn't go down those rabbit holes.
Okay, so you're like me in that sense, that you get to thinking a lot on these long, quiet drives. Is there a practical purpose behind it? Like, are you so in tune with the engine that if something wiggled in there, you would know it immediately and you could pull over and get it fixed? Is that kind of a function of it, or is it just that you just really don't want anything in your head?
Well, two things. One, I was a mechanic for 25 years before I came over to do this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And two, I have issues with sensory overload.
Okay, sensory overload, man. I totally get that. That's something a lot of people struggle with, is sensory overload.
And I don't think a lot of people understand that it is sensory overload, and noise is such a driving force in that sensory overload issue.
Okay. So taking things out of the equation that you're hearing is helping you focus more on the job, is kind of what I'm hearing here.
Yes, it is.
Got it. See, and that's a simple explanation, and a great one too. And I'm curious, I want to turn this to the other drivers here and ask, Tim, I'll start with you. Since we haven't talked about what you like to listen to yet, do you think you could drive and do the job in complete silence all the time?
You know, there's times where I do it, and there's times where I don't. So it's a little bit of both.
Okay, so maybe you could handle it. How about you, Donut? Are you a silence and the sound of the road type of guy?
When I do that, I end up creating whole worlds full of ridiculous creatures in my head. Okay.
Hey, but
it's good for the side project.
Yeah,
but
I was gonna say
not good for sanity.
Yeah. Okay, interesting. How about? Sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say that's exactly right. You too much silence, and you're making up stuff in your head that you don't need to worry about.
Yeah.
Well, where do you think some of the best sci-fi novels have been dreamed up?
Hey, I can't.
Stop giving away my secret.
Somebody else is going to create a one-eyed weird thing, and they're going to take it from him. No, I love that because that is, I think, Tim, you touched on something there that when I got your suggestion, Dusty, and you told me that that's what you listen to, I thought about it for a while, and I was like, there are road trips, times when I've been driving where I've just rolled down the windows and I'm just kind of trying to relax and focus and just not get tired. But there's never really been a practical purpose behind it, and it's always something that doesn't last that long because I will start to create problems in my head. Like, I going down rabbit holes and things, there's that, but I'm also one of those people that can think about something that happened to me 5 years ago in that moment, and I'll sweat about it for 8 weeks down the road because I had so much time to sit there and think about it. So a lot of times for me, anything that I'm listening to kind of serves as a bit of a distraction from doing that to myself. But Drew, I want to go to you here real quick. You're the last one to comment. Are there ever any silent periods for you in the rig when you're driving?
I'll tell you, my guy over there, he is freaking mad. I could never, ever drive without some sort of noise playing. I mean, loud and fast, man. Loud and fast. Gotta keep the adrenaline up high.
I hear you. And Dusty, that's why I was really excited to get you in here with a few other drivers because I thought that there'd probably be some mixed takes here. And it sounds like Tim is okay with it from time to time. Michael is maybe okay with it if he's trying to work on the side project a little bit. And Drew is 100% no on the silence. So that's why it was such a unique suggestion to me, man. And I appreciate you coming on and explaining it to us a little bit. Are there times that you said that you have to be in a specific mood to listen to music. Is that ever something that happens when you're driving, or that's only like a home or off time thing or when you're taking a 34?
It's a home time thing.
Okay.
I'm an audiophile at home. I have a record player, everything at home to really enjoy music the way it was meant to be enjoyed.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess part of the problem with the automotive, especially in these trucks, is the dollar set of speakers that these manufacturers put in do not create good quality music, in my opinion.
So that's why it bugs you, is because you're used to hearing it with that true fidelity that it was supposed to have, and the radio can't really replicate that. This
is true.
Interesting. Okay. I like that, man. Coming from radio broadcasting, I've met a lot of audiophiles in my life. I know some people that will not listen to music in a digital format or off of a CD. It's records only for them, which really chokes down their ability to get their hands on music that they want. But it's a thing. And look, I respect it because, what bad audio does for you, that uncomfortable tingle that you get in your spine when you hear it and it makes you not want to hear it anymore, that's what dead air does to me. After all these years of broadcasting, I get it when I ask a question and I talk fast. I do know that about myself. But when I ask a question, sometimes there's a little bit of a pregnant pause while a driver's thinking about it, which is fine because we're not live. But from my live radio days, that dead air space right there makes me wiggle like an unattended toddler. I just can't take it. And so I get that about it. It's really weird how audio things, those triggers can do that to a person. And I think it's interesting to see how people cope with it, man. So you get all your music listening done on the off time as an audiophile at home, and you are straight up the sound of the road when you're driving.
Correct.
That's awesome, man. That's really cool. That's exactly why we're doing this today, as I'm going to learn some things. Tim, again, thanks for the time here on your first time. I wanted to get a little bit of those talking points out before I came to you, and you also had an interesting response, so tell me what you're listening to, man.
I listen to a lot of news, both sides, left, right, independent. I like a lot of economics, cryptocurrencies, pretty much just and rap and rock, and those are pretty much my genre. Some podcasts.
Just some though. So you kind of like to. It sounds to me like you like to stay current on the goings on of our great country.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I've talked to some drivers on here before that have told me that they have to stay away from news talk radio because it can be so divisive. Is that why you listen to all sides? You're trying to seek out sources from left, right, and center so that you can kind of digest the entire issue rather than just one side's take on it?
Pretty much. And nobody really tells the truth, or it's just one-sided, and you can't really go by, Fox News or MSNBC or, some conspiracies on YouTube.
Right.
So you kind of got to listen to everybody.
Yeah, no, it's a really good point. And you also mentioned economics news and things like that. I'll be honest with you, man. That is one, while I can find myself interested in it and I would like to know more about it because I feel like it'll make me a more responsible adult, that would put me to sleep. I know that because it took some economics classes in college, fell asleep a lot. Fortunately, I was back far enough in the room that I didn't get caught more than 2 or 3 times. And by the way, my parents are listening to this, so sorry about that money wasted. But it was a real tough subject for me. How is it just like you're so into the economy or you understand it so well that you can really tune into that and it interests you? Or is this more of like you're listening because you want to stay on top of your own finances and stay on top of your own investments, make sure you're making the right moves?
Exactly that. Yeah, you kind of have to know, for example, under Biden, they were talking about the inflation going up and skyrocketing. I went out and bought a crap ton of food. And what happened? Inflation went sky high. I had cheap food in the refrigerator. I was good.
Dude, I've been getting raked over the coal on eggs lately. I know that eggs is like the hot button topic right now, but if I was a kid going to throw eggs at my science teacher's house, I'll be honest with you, I wouldn't have been able to do it. I would have gone broke on toilet paper instead because I can't afford eggs as a 40-year-old adult right now. That's a really smart move, and it's just your in-cab listening that cued you into making that move.
Oh, absolutely. And I've always, I've got 6 kids, and, they're expensive, so I have to be smart with my money.
Absolutely, absolutely. And you also mentioned sometimes you get into some podcasts. What kind of genre of the podcasts are you listening to? Is it mostly financial news stuff? Because I know there's a lot of those out there as well.
Yeah, sometimes Joe Rogan, sometimes, you got some cryptocurrency ones. You got to be real careful on those ones, but
yeah,
everybody will spin a nice story and then you get rug pulled.
Absolutely, man. Hawk to a girl. Let's let her be the living example of that whole thing. That was a disaster. I hope you weren't in on Hawk Coin or whatever they called it.
No. And even if I would have, it would have been like, I would have thrown $20 at it, and if it made money, it made money. If it didn't, oh well.
Right, it's a slot machine.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, well, look, already we haven't even talked to our 4th driver about what he's listening to yet, and already we have a ton of ideas for you guys. Donut, Michael Duncan, thanks for your patience, first and foremost. I know when we have 4 drivers in here and you got to wait to be the 4th guy to talk, it always is a little bit boring, but we appreciate you. Walk me through how you keep yourself entertained during the windshield time.
Like everybody else, it's a lot. It's a lot of. I have podcasts, mostly audiobooks. That's mostly what I'm into is audiobooks. I take a break in between. I'll listen to an entire series, take a break, and listen to some music or a few podcasts or whatever, and then I come back to a different series or a different genre of book.
Okay. I like that because so when I was driving, which again, I want to continue to reiterate, when I was a traveling salesman, I drove a fraction of what you guys drove, but it's the only experience I have to draw from here. And a lot of times when I was spending a bunch of time on the road, I would get sort of just bored of one thing, whether it be audiobooks, podcasts, or music, because those were my three go-tos. Eventually, I was going to tire out and have to go away from that for a little bit. Kind of sounds like you do the same thing with your books.
Absolutely. That's why it's also why I have like multiple genres, everything from lit RPG to Anne Rice to Jim Butcher. There's this book series called the Underworld series where the first book is Level Up or Die. Like,
wow. Cool. So there's some epic battles going on in your cab while you're driving down the road, it sounds like.
Absolutely. And then there's also I have a Learn Spanish audiobook.
Well, how's that going in Spanish, please?
Muy mal.
Very bad. My Spanish isn't good. He said very bad, I'm pretty sure.
Yes, I did.
Mucho loco.
Something's crazy. I don't know. Bitch is crazy, maybe? I'm not. Once again.
Yeah, that's exactly what he said. Well, it's more intense than that. I was adopted by a Mexican family and used to be fluent before a head injury knocked it out of me.
Okay. All right. So you're getting back to
so I'm trying to relearn.
Do you spend very much time doing it, or is that kind of just like a gap filler, or what kind of schedule are you on with it?
I do. I don't know if this is going to make sense to anybody else, but I'll listen to it till my brain itches and then move on to something else.
I get it, man.
No ADHD there at all.
Yeah, I can. Having it described as a brain itch, though, I think is maybe the most accurate thing I've ever heard. Because and you can't scratch that itch. It doesn't matter how hard you try.
It could be the ADHD. It could be the autism. I really don't know.
Could be the head injury. It could be any number of things. Oh, it's great, man.
I once told somebody when they asked me, because they found out I have ADHD, found out I have autism, found out I've had head injuries. They're like, "What else is wrong with you?" I'm like, "I've been diagnosed with alphabet soup. Thank you."
See, I'm old enough that all of that stuff wasn't really even being talked about yet.
Uh-huh.
So I wasn't diagnosed with any of it, but I know I have it.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
They could have just as easily called it American's disease, and we all have it. Because it's just kind of, I feel like it's kind of a symptom of the way our society is. Like, there's so many distractions. There's so much to be nervous about. There's so much to be anxious about. It kind of tracks, if you ask me, and I think I've got a little bit of it too. My wife, I know that she's got it. In fact, we were packing for a trip just the other day, and I followed her into her room, and she was just standing there staring into a corner, and I said, "Hey, are you going to get that thing for the suitcase?" And she just kind of shook her head and went, "Yeah, sorry, I got distracted." I was like, "Yeah, that's the ADHD. We're packing here. We need to stay focused. Let's go." So I get it, man. It's something we all deal with, or at least a lot of us do deal with, and that's another reason that I think this is helpful, is having so many different ideas is good for a driver that's out there that's either bored or really feeling a little bit antsy when they're sitting in the driver's seat. So, and Michael, I wanted to ask you about this because I talked about it in the open, and I wanted to make sure to mention it to all you guys, but Mike Stanfield, who was going to join us today but was sick, unfortunately, so again, we hope he gets better. He told me about something called the Libby app. Do you know anything about the Libby app, Donut?
Libya, but not an app.
Yeah, I've heard of it, but I really don't know anything about it.
So I had no idea until Mike walked me through exactly what this thing is. If you have a library card, which those are free, you can download the Libby app and you use your library card as like basically your account, and you can check out audiobooks for free. You get 20 days to listen to them, and then you can request more time if you need them. He told me the only catch is that sometimes the book that you want to listen to is checked out, so it is kind of like a real library in that facet. But he said he's been crashing through all sorts of books on that. He hasn't paid a cent for it. I had no idea that this existed.
I'll have to look into that one.
Yeah, right?
a few libraries I've had cards to had something similar for that specific library.
Okay, so it sounds like maybe there's more than one of these out there that you could utilize if you've got yourself a library card, and I know a lot of drivers do.
Yeah, it was all internet. It was a library specific website, but yeah, like that's cool. I'm glad they have an app for it now.
Yeah, exactly, and to be able to do it on the run, because for me, Michael, you touched on it a little bit. I'm kind of a series guy, and that's what would happen to me is I would get into a book series, and by the time that series was done, I didn't really want to start another one. I needed to sit down and listen to 5 hours of punk rock to clear my head because I couldn't believe what just happened at the end, you know?
Yes. I had just finished Dungeon Crawler Carl, did about 6 hours of nerd rap, and then went back and started the Anne Rice Vampire Chronicles again.
Okay, nerd rap. I love it. So between you and Drew, we've got nerd rap and gangster rap covered. Drew, do you dabble in the nerd rap at all, or are you still just mostly gangster?
Yeah, a little bit, not too much, but I'm definitely all about the gangster rap.
That's kind of your generation for sure. You and I are close to the same age.
Oh yeah, definitely 90s babies, you know.
Oh yeah, and there was so much good gangster. I mean, listen, I don't even. My friends would tell you that they don't even know if I know what rap is. But Biggie Smalls, Tupac, Dre, all those guys were huge when I was a kid. You couldn't stay away from them. That's what you danced to at school dances and stuff. So, but I am curious now because we've kind of covered the hard listening, and hard listening is a bad way to put it because I don't think it's hard, but the active listening stuff, the stuff that you do kind of have to pay attention to follow along with, podcasts, audiobooks, that type of thing. I'm also curious about music that you guys are listening to, and didn't one of you guys told me about the Brave TV app, right? Or the Brave browser? Was it the Brave browser? I'm just getting through my notes here. Okay, that is one thing I want to touch on before we get to music. Talk to me about the Brave browser, because you mentioned YouTube, and we were talking about it in the open. YouTube's a tough one because, of course, you're not wanting to watch anything, but YouTube doesn't like to play in the background. It will shut itself down, so you almost would, if you wanted to listen to it, like throw your phone back onto the sleeper and have it, playing back there so you're not distracted. But this Brave browser seems to be able to work around that?
Yes. It's been around. I've had it since 2017. Awesome app. It works just like Chrome. So if you're familiar with Chrome, Brave is just like Chrome. So no big deal there. There's a setting where you go in there and you say, play the music in the background. And not only does it play it in the background, but you also don't get any ads. So you don't need to pay for YouTube Plus or whatever.
That is really handy. Ads can ruin a good time, man, especially on YouTube, because some of them, they make you click away from them. You can't just keep listening. Like, the ad will just stop the whole process.
Yeah, and you can all you have to do is put it as an icon. So bookmark it, put that bookmark on your main page of your phone, and so every time you click on it, it just goes straight to YouTube. So it's no different than having the YouTube app on your phone.
Wow, that works really well. Yeah, I heard an intrigued out there. It sounds pretty cool, doesn't it, fellas?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So we got the Libby app, we got the Brave browser. Those are a couple of really good things that you guys can utilize out there. We've got the Sounds of Silence from our buddy Dusty, which I say if you haven't tried it, you should. Just once to see what happens. You never know. You might create a sci-fi book series like we're talking about with Donut there. But let's get into a little bit of music side of things. Dusty, I'll start with you here because you are an audiophile at home. You're not listening on the road. We covered that. Let's talk about, just to get you in on the conversation here, you're home. You're about to kick up your feet for a Saturday of pleasurable audiophiling. What are you listening to first? What's going on the turntable before anything else?
Usually, Pink Floyd goes on the turntable first.
Yes.
Yeah, there's always some agreement from the Peanut Gallery on Pink Floyd, man. You can't argue with it. Dark Side of the Moon?
Greatest band in the world.
Dark Side of the Moon?
No, Us and Them Symphony.
Okay, all right. And
just the orchestral.
I bet you that sounds really good on a good record player. I've never heard it on vinyl before.
It does.
Okay, and what are you following that up with? Is there anything else, or are you just going to go into a Fantasia loop and just Pink Floyd out all weekend?
Oh, I can only listen to Pink Floyd for a little bit. I worked for a gentleman that is, for 2 years, that's basically all we listened to every single day at work.
That's a bit much.
So it kind of ruined it for me.
Yeah, I get that, man. You know, I used to be a Metallica fan until I worked for a rock radio station, and there's still some Metallica I can listen to, but I've heard it all so much that I feel like I know, like I'm a distant cousin of James Hetfield at this point. Like, I get it. I've heard it. They're not impressing me anymore. So yeah, I can relate to that.
Then I go down the classical music. I love just solo piano classical music. And then, of course, the orchestral music. And then not modern country. I don't care for that. But 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s country music.
Okay. So I bet you got a wall full of Conway Twitty somewhere in your house there.
Well, not necessarily Conway Twitty, but King George, Garth, Dolly, Reba, all the good 70s and 80s stuff.
Okay, all right. What about way down yonder on the Chattahoochee? I feel like that was kind of a transition area for country. Are you an Alan Jackson guy?
Oh, absolutely. Love Alan Jackson, Alabama, Brooks and Dunn, all of them.
Okay, all right. Well, spoken like a true audiophile here. I find it so intriguing that you listen to nothing on the road, but you've got an extensive library that you really appreciate at home. I think that's so cool. Tim, what kind of music, or do you get into any music while you're out there on the road?
Oh yeah, there's some rappers that I like. One's called Dax, DAX, and then Tom McDonald. He's got some hits out there. A lot of rap. Anything that has a message. I'm not necessarily into some of the inappropriate stuff they rap about, but if it's got a good message to it, I like it.
Okay. All right, so we got, I kind of figured we were going to cover almost every genre of music when I asked this question, and so far, so good. We're checking them off the list here. Donut, on to you, man, because Drew, you and I, our music tastes kind of align a little bit, so we're going to talk about that in a second, but Donut, I'm going to go to you here. Do you find yourself listening to music at all, and if so, what are you listening to?
I do. I'll listen to quite a bit of music. It's, like I said, it's a cycle for me.
Yep.
Of different things, but I'm polyamorous.
Polyamorous. That is a great way to put it. So really, you've got likes from all over the place. Like, I might hear Tool, I might hear Notorious B.I.G., and I might hear Britney Spears in the cab of your truck.
Yeah, those are all back to back.
That's the best part of the playlist, man.
in one of my playlists, I go from Tech Nine to Garth Brooks to Willie Nelson over to the Backstreet Boys, a little bit of nerd rap, Beethoven's Fifth. It's everywhere.
It is an ADHD music playlist. It sounds like keep me confused.
Yeah, Joyner Lucas is in there too with ADHD.
That's great, man. That's great. So just kind of a crapshoot for you when it comes to music, but that's good because it's always a surprise, right? You never know. Like, we've talked about my playlist on here before. I think I'm approaching 65 hours now on my one playlist that is kind of my road trip go-to because I don't know what's coming. It's up to that technology and hit me with it, because if I put it on there, it's obviously a song I'm okay listening to.
My algorithm is confused.
Perfect. Great way to put it. All right, Drew. So we know the rock, the kind of hard rock, metal that you're into, also some rap. My question for you is, what's new out there on the playlist? Have you found anything that you're really excited by? Because you and I have had some great back and forth about some damn good music on this show.
Well, new, not really. I kind of like to stick to what I know.
Mm-hmm.
And right now, what's really hot for me is, and it's been made official by Jack Black, the greatest band in the world. They went and sold their soul to the devil, Led Zeppelin.
That's what's been hot for you lately, huh?
Oh yeah, I've been a Led Zeppelin fan since I was in high school, and there's just periodic times where I just really get into Led Zeppelin. And my wife actually sent me a video of their song Kashmir, and that was 2 weeks ago. And pretty much whenever I turn on Pandora or Spotify to listen to music, Zeppelin's the first thing that comes up.
Okay, that's a hard one to argue with, man. Zeppelin, a lot like Pink Floyd, they got a lot of fans and a lot of people that would rather die than hear something poor said about their favorite band. So I got to ask you.
Two greatest bands in the world right there. Zeppelin's 1, Pink Floyd's number 2.
Well, what about Blink-182? I expected a much.
I mean,
I did not expect you to even consider it. I'll be honest.
See, Blink-182 reminds me too much of Green Day, and it's kind of like sad emo punk kind of music, and you know.
Ow, you're hurting my high school memories here.
Yeah, dude, you're beating me up right now. I just started a cover band with 3 guys that we played a lot of songs from those bands that you just said that about last night. You're beating me in the childhood right now, man. I can barely take it.
Hey,
I was about to say the same thing.
While everyone else was listening to Green Day and Blink-182, I was over there listening to
Alanis Morissette, we know.
It was Evanescence, and you know it.
a little bit of Evanescence.
She's got a great voice.
I was listening to Bullet for My Valentine.
Okay.
So everybody wanted to go to a school dance with you.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Awesome, man. Well, okay, so if you're going for Led Zeppelin, you know, you mentioned Kashmir. Tough one to beat. Is there anything else up there that's kind of like a go-to 100%? You can listen to that song all the time that Led Zeppelin's got, just to dig into your brain a little further?
Only because of the sexual aspect of it, the kind of hidden sexual aspect of it. Whole lot of love. Can't not listen to it.
Yeah, that's a good one, man. That is one that we ran ad nauseum on our radio station as well. I really like the intro to that song. It makes you feel like you should get up and get to jogging or something like that.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
Very cool. Well, you know, another one that I'm going to mention to you guys because you're into the Pink Floyd and the Zeppelin is, you know, what is it? Bob O'Reilly, right? The Who? Is that the Who? Yeah. That's a really, really good driving song because it has like a 1.5 or a 2-minute intro. I feel like I can really get some miles behind me in that intro. You know, I don't know. I'm clearly not a truck driver, you guys. I'm just trying here. Well, fellas, listen, this always happens. Whenever we get a good conversation going, I look down and I go, good Lord, it's been almost 42 minutes I've had you guys on the phone. I'm going to make some time here for some final thoughts for Tim and Dusty. If you guys listen to the show, you probably know this, but every single time drivers join me here on the show, I always like to clear a little bit of space for final thoughts from you, and this can be absolutely anything. You can be shouting out family members, saying hi to people you work with, just sharing some thoughts in general. It doesn't matter, but I'm going to give you guys a couple minutes to think about that because Drew and Michael have had me hit them right across the face with this before in a surprising fashion, so they're ready for it. And today I'm going to start with you, Donut. Final thoughts, and thank you for joining us.
Thank you. I genuinely love being on this podcast with you guys. Drew's final thought. Drew's podcast playlist sounds like my childhood.
I don't know if that. I don't even know if I should be laughing at that. To be honest with you.
Look, my mother. You have moms reading their kids, you know, the little Disney books and stuff to go to sleep. My mom was reading us the biography of Charles Manson and the Son of Sam. Okay.
Awesome.
Your mom actually read to you? I just got whooping and sent to bed.
Hey, she taught me to read. By the time I entered school, I could read and basically understand the complete works of Shakespeare. So.
Wow. Okay, so making friends wasn't the easiest thing for you.
Oh, no, I hate people. Everybody's so proud that they can read C-Spot Run, and I'm sitting here, back this book. I'm going to read the dictionary. other than that, everybody has different tastes and things that keep their mind engaged. Some people need silence, so that's fine. Whatever keeps you focused on the job. Some of us are ADHD as shit.
Yes, we've established that today. Thanks for the time, Michael. Always a pleasure to have you on. I can tell that you enjoy being on here. We love to have you. And drivers, honestly, use that as some motivation for you. Michael hasn't been doing the podcast for as long as some of the drivers, like Drew. Drew's been doing this since I think episode like 3 or 4, maybe 5. So. But you came on, Michael, and you did it once, and pretty much after that, you and I have built a great relationship. We're texting back and forth from time to time. We can do that. Any driver that wants to be a part of this podcast, the doors are wide open, and I promise you'll have a good time when you get here. So again, Donut, thank you so much for the time today, man. Really appreciate it. We'll get you back on soon, okay?
Thank you.
Drew, we're headed to you for final thoughts, my friend. One of the longest tenured guests on this podcast, as I just mentioned. What do you got for me today?
Well, I got a little assignment for you because I was listening to the podcast that aired today, which is the 26th. And you had mentioned that GTA 5 is probably one of the best games to ever hit PlayStation. And I don't believe that it is one of the best games to hit PlayStation.
Ooh, controversy.
Yes. And what I need you to do is to go and play the God of War series and come back at me, because if you want to talk about a character development, it is the chef's kiss.
I can't argue with you, man. You're talking about games that came out in like I think 17 to 24 era of my life, where all you've got to do is figure out where you're going to get the next beer and whether or not you're going to pass the class, and the rest of that time is all reserved for God of War and Madden football. I will agree with you. Listen, I think sometimes when I talk on this show, I don't put a huge amount of forethought into it. Sometimes they end up reflecting and going, man, I should shut up. As my dad says, close my mouth 10% of the time, solve 90% of my problems. But I think, too, as far as the enjoyment I got out of it, I think you're probably right with the God of War, especially God of War 1 and 2. Those very first two were so unique and so fun. The isometric gameplay, I really enjoyed it. I think that sometimes you get blinded by the amount of money that GTA 5's made. Like, it's hard to argue with a money printing machine that Rockstar Games has,
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'll give Rockstar their kudos. They did really good with GTA and with Red Dead Redemption.
Oh,
but
such a good game.
When it just, I don't know, when it comes to PlayStation and games, the first thing I always think of is God of War. And in 2018, when they re-released it with Mike Judd as the voiceover for Kratos, the main character, it was just, I was so ecstatic that they actually brought the game back, because I actually started playing it on a demo disc on PS2, and I played every single game except for the PC ones and the handheld console ones, and it was just amazing to me that they brought it back, and I haven't been able to drop it since I've started playing it.
Awesome. Well, Drew, as always, thank you for the time here. You're the first driver to give me a bona fide homework assignment in the Final Thoughts segment, but I am here for it, dude. Appreciate you, and we'll get you back on soon. Okay, Dusty and Tim, you've heard what Final Thoughts can sound like. You can give me homework. You can talk about your favorite video game, talk about your alphabet diagnosis. It really doesn't matter. There are no rules. Tim, we'll go to you first. Final thoughts for us here today.
If I had to recommend a podcast to anybody when it comes to financials, if you're not into Dave Ramsey because he's old and boring, whatever, Caleb Hammer on Financial Audit. He brings people in and goes through their stuff, and he's kind of like Gordon Ramsay and Dave Ramsey put together, so he has a fit. It can get over his voice while he's having a fit. He's amazing. Also, that Brave app, and also blocks ads and trackers, and it does a great job at it.
Perfect, man. Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention, and anybody that is a shade of Gordon Ramsay is somebody that I could get behind listening to, because that man is hours of entertainment. I recently got onto a Kitchen Nightmares kick where I was watching all the old Kitchen Nightmares from like the early 2000s. I think he might be one of the greatest comedians of our generation, Gordon Ramsay. He's never used the same insult twice. And if the guy's talking finances kind of like that, I think I could get behind it. You said Caleb Hammer is his name?
Yep, and the show is called The Financial Audit, or Financial Audit.
Okay, awesome. Well, Tim, thank you so much for being here. Appreciate the stuff that you brought to us. And also, I'll ask you to grade the experience. Did you have a good time on the podcast today, being it your first time?
Yeah, it was good.
Awesome. Thanks for joining us, man. Dusty Erickson, we're going to cap it off with you, my friend, the man who listens to the sounds of the open road and is also an audiophile. Do you have any final thoughts for us today after your first podcast experience?
Well, yeah, you're making me feel old. Talking about the video games of your childhood, I'm sitting here. I remember opening up Christmas when I was 6 years old, and the NES was the hot new ticket.
Yep.
Played a lot of Mario and Duck Hunt for a long time.
Yeah, that was good. Those are good ones, man. My experience that's seared into my head with the Nintendo as a kid, my dad and mom went out and rented the Jeopardy Nintendo game. I don't know if you ever played that one, but, us kids weren't into it, but mom really loved watching Jeopardy. And so they went to Blockbuster Video, they rented the Nintendo game, and my mom was beating my dad so bad that my dad was telling my sister and I on the side to sneak up to the console and unplug my mom's controller so that she couldn't win at Jeopardy anymore. And I'll tell you, that was a very good lesson that I learned at a real young age. They're glad that they came out with wireless controllers because I was a menace. I would unplug you, no problem. That's within the rules to me. So I get you, Dusty. I feel like you and I are probably pretty close to the same age there.
So, yeah, you guys, they were making me feel old. I have tried to play Gods of War Ragnarok, and I can't get past the opening section of it. These 3D open world games, I don't get into, and I don't have the amount of time required to really play them like they should be played.
Sure.
Could be part of that alphabet soup problem too, of squirrel and.
Yeah, there's a lot of bright colors, man. A lot of cool visuals on the screen. It's like some of those environments I could just stand in and not play the game and just look around.
Yeah. And then my only other thing to say is don't ever get too worried about what's happening with the politics and all of that type of stuff. The world's going to keep spinning. We're all going to keep still making a paycheck and living day to day. It's just a stage, and they're paid actors. Don't ever let it get too deep into it or let it bother you too much.
Yep.
Exactly.
Sound advice there, Dusty. Thank you for that. And I'll ask you as well, just like I asked Tim, how was your first experience here on the Liquid Trucking Podcast, Dusty?
It was good. I have yet to hear one of the podcasts, so I've got to figure out how to even download them or listen to them or how to even find them.
All right. Well, fortunately, we talk about that all the time on this show, and you just saved me some time because I was about to have to talk about it again, but I'll just tell you. LiquidTrucking.com is the website. Up at the very top of that page, there's a banner that's got a picture of me that says check out our podcast or something to that effect. If you click that banner, you're there. Every single episode that we've ever done, this is episode 68, all the information about what's on those episodes is there, and they're all hosted right there on the webpage, so you can just click through them at your leisure and listen to them as you want to. We release a new one every Wednesday at 5 a.m., and Drew is one of the first guys to click on it every single week. Ain't that right?
That's right.
Yep.
Bright and early.
There you go. So did that give you a pretty good rundown, Dusty?
It sure did.
All right. Well, we're going to look forward to that, and I'm counting the clicks, so I better see one extra next week.
I will do my best.
All right. Dusty, Tim, Michael, and Drew, Liquid Drivers, joining us here today to talk about what they're listening to on the road. That was a fantastic segment, guys. Please, all of you, be safe. Keep the shiny side up out there, and we'll get you back on the show again, all right? Take care, gentlemen.
All right,
Marcus, you too.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, gotta thank the guys, man. That was a fantastic conversation. I told you I was a little bit off today, and sure enough, that was like a 50-something minute conversation. We don't normally go that long, But when we got 4 drivers in and the conversation's flowing, man, it's those types of episodes that I really wish that this thing was like a 5 or a 6 hour podcast. You know, those ones that you can just get lost in for a long time. I think that's the cool part about what we're doing here is it's conversational. We're just chatting. We're chopping it up a lot like some of you guys do on the party lines or some of the older drivers out there might have done on the CBs back in the day. We don't talk quite as much crap, that's for sure. We're a little bit friendlier, but hell, man, we have a great time every time. So big thanks again to Tim, Dusty, Michael, and Drew for being on the show. But one thing about a 52-minute conversation is it eats a really good chunk of the hour, which means that I have got to go. And also, if you hear, my phone was just chiming in the background. Super professional episode 68 here, Bridges. Way to go. Yeah, my phone was going off an alarm to tell me that I have been podcasting for too long. And actually, that was the 3rd time I snoozed it. So I got to wrap it up. Thanks for being here. Episode 68 was a great one. We'll see you next week for episode 69. Don't forget to get your March Madness brackets in. If you're listening to this on March 19th, it is the last day. Turn them in. We start that competition tomorrow with money on the line. LiquidTrucking.com. Get to the podcast landing page. You can find all the March Madness information there. We'll see you next week, drivers. Stay safe. Keep the shiny side up.
Thanks for tuning in and being the gold standard of drivers on the road. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel and tune in next week for another episode of the Liquid Trucking Podcast.